And like our
sense.
purpose is like, let's care for the environment, let's care for our animals, and let's make this a movement. It's
Right.
not just about selling vegan food, but it's like let's care for the planet. You know, like this is our future. And like if you want to give your grandkids, your great grandkids, a nice earth, a planet to live on, to sustain on, then you got to take care of it.
Yeah,
And that's
100%.
just how it is.
Being
Like,
able to like at least you're doing your part. You know, it's like all we can do right now is try to reverse. So I mean, it's pretty messed up already.
Yeah.
and we're like a tiny little business, you know, we're doing our part to try our best to make a change. But I mean, like, hopefully we make a dent. Hopefully we're making some type of movement. Hopefully we're making some type of impact to our community, to the world. But I mean, like, we can only do so much.
Yeah. So welcome back to the podcast. Today we have two very special guests. They were born and raised in South Side of San Jose. They met in high school. In January, it'll be 11 years together. They both went to college. Dalena graduated from UC Davis and Manuel graduated from MTI. After college, instead of going into their careers, they decided to start a business. Dalena being very passionate about the environment and Manuel being passionate about cooking and the environment, they decided to open a vegan food truck. Seeing the lack of Mexican vegan food available in their community and being that's their favorite cuisine, they started the world famous Vegan Veganos. Welcome to the podcast. Veganos, sorry.
Veganos.
Welcome to the podcast, Dalena and Manuel.
Welcome.
Thank you for having us.
All right, awesome. Before we get started, I just want to make sure that you guys like and subscribe and make sure you hit that notification bell because it really helps us out. So,
And share the video, please.
yes, please share the video. So welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's great to have you guys because I know that we've been trying for a while to get you guys on here, but you guys are super busy as entrepreneurs. But yeah, we're super excited. We all love your cuisine, right?
Shrimp tacos, horchata.
Yeah, and we'll get into that, right? But we always like to start the podcast with getting to know you guys, right? Because I feel like if people know your story, they can connect with you better. So, born and raised in the South Side of San Jose. Go ahead and start talk about that.
Well, I mean, we met in high school, so it was my freshman year. It was his junior year. That's when we met, and we went to college together. After college, we were like, you know what, let's start our business. And it wasn't just like, let's start our business. It was more so we became vegan and watching documentaries. I don't know if you guys watch What the Health.
Yes, I love that one.
It was when
Very
they
important.
stabbed the cow or the pig or whatever it was. And like all this pus was just like gushing out of it. I was like, oh, that got to me.
Yeah, I've seen some that definitely got to me. They're pretty crazy.
And that was, I mean, we watched a lot. Like there was a lot of documentaries that we watched that were vegan. We had a lot of friends that were vegan, so they were like giving us all of these documentaries, all of these videos. But it was What the Health that got to us.
Yeah.
So then we became vegan, and then we're like, okay, what do we eat now? And I was like major working out person. Like I was athletic. I went to the gym all the time. I meal prepped. I like did a lot of like, I ate a lot of healthy food per se. Like I meal prepped chicken, rice, and broccoli, like literally every day. Like it was 3 days out of the whole day. I would just eat that for like, I think it was like 8 weeks. Cause I was like doing this like, this workout challenge. And it just got so rubbery, so gross. And I was like, I just can't do this anymore. Like, how do people do it? Like, it was like either chicken. I didn't really eat beef already to begin with. But anyways, we became vegan. I was like, what do we eat?
Right.
Like, there was really nothing that we could eat besides just like beans and rice. So then we're like, okay, let's start experimenting. We started experimenting. We're like, we had this great idea of starting Vegan Veganos. And that's kind of just where it all kind of like rolled from there.
Yeah, I kind of feel you because I was the same way when I first went plant-based vegan. I was like, beans and rice, like what do I eat, right? You know,
rice.
Avocados.
Avocados.
Yeah. So let's go back a little bit further, like where you guys grew up. So you guys grew up in the South Side. What part of the South Side did you guys grow up in?
I grew up, but technically we both did. She lives down the street from me, but Center Road.
Okay, Center Road.
San
okay.
Jose, yeah. South
So
San
you guys
Jose,
grew up down the street from each other.
like a mile away.
Wow. So how
Went to high
old were
school
you when you first got to know each other? Was it high school?
High school.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you didn't know each other before high school?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And I mean, so tell us about, like, do you guys have brothers and sisters? Like,
Yeah, so I have 3 brothers and 1 sister. My
Okay.
sister's the oldest. I'm the middle child.
Okay.
So
Is it true what they say? The middle child's always the
I
forgotten
was
child?
waiting for you.
Very true.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm the middle child. But yeah, like me growing up, like I was always very mama's boy. So that's what pretty much sparked my interest in cooking because I was always my mom, and my mom is like hands down like the best cook to me. You know, like her food is amazing, die for. And growing up, like that's like on my vacation time, that's what I would do. Like mom would cook, you know, the meals for the day, and I would be beside her on the chair just watching her. Mom, can I help? Can I help in any way? Can I peel some garlic? Can I do this? And little by little she started, you know, letting me, you know, help her in the kitchen. And as I got older, you know, my mom eventually, because she's an immigrant, so my parents, you know, are immigrants. My dad came here at 19, and my mom came here, like, I believe in her early 20s, I believe. And so, yeah, I come from an immigrant family, and so when I was in my early teenage years, that's when she left to Mexico. So that's when I had to kind of like start taking care of myself as well as my siblings, you know. So I started, you know, cooking, and that's when I really like knew that I had some, like I had like what do you say, like
a skill,
like a skill. There you go, a skill,
a talent.
You were good at
talent.
it.
I was good at it. So I was like, holy crap, I am actually good at, you know, making food.
Yeah.
So like I would cook for my brothers and my dad, and I would make him lunch.
I bet you they were happy about that.
Yeah, so I kind of had to learn how to take care of myself as well as them, and that's where my spark of cooking came from. And then obviously turning vegan a couple of years later, that's, you know, okay, I got to figure out what I'm gonna eat now, because she actually started being vegetarian and hit vegan before I did. It kind of took me a little longer. I've been vegan for almost 3 years. So I turned vegan when we actually started the business, because I was like, I have to let go of this. Like, it doesn't serve me. I don't need it. And so I went vegan it's been like 2 years and like 9 months or so.
Pretty brave though. I mean, to just go. I mean, that's pretty smart though.
But he was like a cold turkey vegan too.
Yeah, that's pretty brave right there. Yeah.
Not really. I kind of it started with red meat, and then chicken, then fish, and sour cream was literally my last thing. Sour cream and cheese. So I was like, oh, okay, I have to. That's it. Yeah. But that's where it all.
So a couple things that you said. Number one, I've always noticed that if somebody has a natural gift for something, they always had like a parent or some type of mentor that they wanted. Like, let's say your father was a mechanic, like, you know, your whole life, and you might not be a mechanic, but you're probably going to be able to fix something. You know what I mean? And so that was the first thing. And the next thing I want to make a point is, I believe knowing how to cook is one of the best skills anybody could have, because especially guys, because imagine if you leave the house and you don't know how to cook. What are you going to eat?
You eat out all the time.
Yeah, you're going to eat
money.
out, spend all the money, it's not even healthy.
Cup of noodles.
Yeah, cup of noodles.
Frozen food.
Yeah, and then you're either going to eat very, very bad, or you're going to spend a lot of money, right? And then you're going to hope you find somebody that knows how to cook, or it just goes generation. So I think it's a very good skill. And I share a similar story because my father was a cook in our house. And I know traditionally Mexican households, it's the mom or cooking in the house. But in my household, it was my father. And my father learned how to cook from necessity. Like, you know, he left Mexico and he came here and he was eating McDonald's all the time. He's like, I'm not going to grow up on McDonald's, so I need to learn how to cook, right? So he became like a very good cook, and he taught me, right? So that's awesome. So, you know, do you know where it came from? Just like the interest in it, because out of all the siblings, it was you. Loving to eat. Oh, okay.
I was a chubby kid.
Okay.
Up.
Well, at least it didn't follow you.
It didn't follow me,
yeah.
which I wish it did.
Yeah.
Sometimes. But
yeah.
I love food. And
Yeah.
I still do till this day. I'm
Yeah.
like I would say we're pretty big foodies.
Yeah.
We eat everywhere. Wherever we go, new city, wherever. We're always eating.
We're always on
all
Yelp looking
the
to see
time.
what's vegan.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
get there.
Me
Even if
too.
it's like an hour away, we're like, we're there.
Yeah,
we're
me
going
too.
to go and
I
eat
do the
it.
same thing whenever
Yeah.
I travel.
Yeah.
Yeah,
People
for
think
sure.
we're crazy
Out there.
for driving an hour out to eat.
But like, what else do you
I
do
like
when you go and
eating.
travel?
Yeah,
You got to
it's
explore
fun.
different
Yeah.
foods.
It's fun. Yeah.
Especially when you're a vegan foodie, because if you're a foodie, you can find a lot of stuff just in your own local neighborhood. A vegan food, it's not there yet, but it's funny because I had my friends visiting from LA. He's like one of my best friends. He's not vegan, but I don't know, as a vegan, I don't know if you guys do this, but I always try to subliminally like feed them good vegan food. So they're like, Wow, this is pretty good.
I
Like,
do
this
that.
is actually
I
good.
give my friends like a chocolate cake or whatever, and I tell them, oh, it's vegan, by the way.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, okay.
After they ate it, though.
After they ate
like,
it,
oh my
yeah.
god, it's so good. Oh, by the way,
Yep.
it's vegan.
Yeah.
I did that to my 10-year-old nephew.
Oh shoot.
Oh, baby, it's vegan. I
Yeah.
was like, okay. That
Yeah.
tastes amazing. So
Yeah. So like,
it's like you're training them, you know? Like,
I mean, you're passionate about it and you know how it's changed your life and you understand. So here's the thing. I think most people don't go vegan because they feel like they're going to miss out on something, right? But if they just, nowadays, it's just substituting. You're not really missing out on anything. Like you guys created the taco, the street taco, which is probably the most famous food in the world, right? Yeah, everyone loves tacos, like, you know, and then people, so all you had to do was substitute the animal products and the dairy for non-animal products and non-dairy, and it tastes pretty much the same. And so we'll get into that, but let's talk about your childhood, Dalena. So, I mean, you said you're into fitness, you're an entrepreneur minded. Did that come from your childhood? What was it like growing up?
Okay, well, I'm the middle child also.
Wow, how funny, right?
I have two older sisters. I have a younger
Okay.
brother. And I mean, my oldest sister, she has Down syndrome and she is autistic.
Oh, wow.
So I grew up taking care of her. Like
Okay.
I was cooking at 9 years old. Like I was really young and
Okay.
I was cooking for her, cooking for myself. My parents
Mm-hmm.
were at work all the time. So I grew up kind of taking care of like myself and her. And
Wow.
she's older than me too. So
Yeah.
so I mean like that's kind of like where my cooking came from because I was always like on the stove cooking for my family. I mean, my dad also, I related with you. Like, it wasn't my mom that was the cook. It was more so my dad.
Oh,
like,
cool.
he came over to America when he was 19, and he was a chef at a Chinese restaurant.
Oh, wow.
So he's always was in the kitchen, and he's always the one in the kitchen. My mom cooks also, but it's my dad that's creative, and he comes up with all these dishes. He cooks a whole bunch of different cuisines.
So it's not just Vietnamese food. It's
yeah,
all
not
kinds
just
That's
Vietnamese
cool.
food.
Yeah. That's
So-
how my parents were.
Yeah.
They wanted to expose us to all
Exactly.
different cuisines. Yeah.
Yeah. So like my dad's the foodie in the family.
Oh, cool.
So that's where I got my cooking from. And I mean, I didn't really get into fitness until college.
Okay.
So I got into college. That's when I was like into fitness, into food, into health. And that's when I started exploring like what is healthy for you.
Right.
And like essentially like that question is just very it's like left open-minded just because a lot of people think meat is healthy. Oh,
Right.
this is lean meat. Like
Yeah.
you have to eat this if you want to have protein.
Yeah.
So like there's that whole like just like the whole debate between what's healthy and what's not healthy. So then we did a whole bunch of research and stuff like that. So that's when I became vegan. That's when I was like, you know what, like there's this whole misinformation about what's healthy and what's not. I can only do what I think is good for myself, and I want to spread that to the community.
Yeah.
So essentially, that's where it came from.
So you guys care. But I mean, I don't know if you guys have ever realized this. You guys are both middle childs and you
Yeah.
both are forced to take care of the family at a very young age.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know if you guys realize that.
Yeah. And our parents have, I think my mom's birthday is literally a day after her mom's.
Oh, wow.
And I think your dad's birthday's in May too.
Oh,
right?
true. Yeah,
And
my dad's birthday's in May too.
Yeah. That's
Weird.
crazy.
It's like
Yeah.
weird little things.
Yeah.
That's like
you know.
We
kind
live down
of
the street from
universe.
each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
synchronicities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what you call it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense why you guys are entrepreneurs because you were forced into responsibility very young,
Yeah.
you know? So it's like almost like it was a blessing in disguise because it forced you to grow up faster, it forced you to be responsible faster. Because when you run a business, I mean, that's responsibility, you know? And it's not just you. Once you guys start having employees and all that, and we'll talk about that because it's very exciting because I met you guys when it was on the ground floor.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
and
us.
then now, right? And then so let's talk about high school. So how'd you guys meet in high school?
Through friends. So
Yeah.
friends?
I didn't
my-
even know that he was
yeah,
in
I
my
didn't know
school.
she went there.
Oh,
But
really?
it was my friend that
Which high school was this?
It was Andrew Hill High School.
Oh, okay, Andrew Hill. Okay.
Yeah,
got
so
it.
my friend, her brother was his friend. So then I went to my friend's house, and he went to his friend's house, and they're siblings.
Ah.
So that's where we met, basically.
Okay. Was
Yeah.
it like love at first sight, or did you guys get to know each other
A
first?
little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah. Not really.
What was your
She was
food
hard.
of
Oh.
the first date? What was the food that you guys ate?
Oh my God, I probably was like Chili's, right?
Oh, I think
eating
so.
Chili's.
But I mean, like, we were friends before we dated, obviously, because we
Yeah.
all hung out with the same crowd. So we were always eating and hanging out, like, at different places. But like for our first date, when we actually got together, I think it was like Chili's or something. I can't remember what
Got
it
that
was.
baby back ribs?
Yeah, I don't remember, but I remember asking my cousin, "Where should I take this girl to eat?"
Yeah.
"You should take her to Chili's." And I was like, "Oh, I was like,
That was
so
the spot
nervous.
back then.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
it's like I don't even look at Chili's.
Yeah.
Like,
Me
what is
neither.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. And then like, I mean, being together almost 11 years now,
Yeah.
that's a big deal. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, for the young couples out there, the ones that met maybe in high school, like, what was that like? Like, I mean, obviously we know it's not always easy, but
Yeah.
like maybe you could share some tips or like
Some advice,
some
you
advice, you know?
Some couple advice.
Some
Yeah.
couple advice.
You go first.
Well-
I've never actually asked him this question, so
Yeah.
let's see what he
Yeah,
says.
now I'm on the spot.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't easy. It's not
Yeah.
easy,
Yeah.
but
Like nothing
you know,
that's special is easy, right?
Yeah, but it's just being able to understand each other, and instead of when there's arguments, it's like learn from it instead of keeping a grudge or you did this, and it's learning from each other, continue growing, and pretty much I feel like what kept me around was probably because she pushed me a lot and she's seen me changing and actually like trying to do something for myself, or else I probably wouldn't be around if I didn't listen. But I mean, that's technically it.
So she made you better, basically.
She made
She challenged you in a
definitely-
good way.
She definitely would take me out of my comfort zone
Yeah.
all the time, and still does till this day.
But also too, I think that kind of means that she believes in you, because that's what a leader does. A leader takes somebody and they see potential in them and they push them, even though it might might bother them or whatever, but it's because you see like they can do more, like you want more for them, and but I guess it's maybe even harder in a relationship,
Yeah.
because there's so many moving parts in a relationship.
And communication is key.
Yeah,
like,
communication is
because
huge.
if
We
you
weren't
can't
the same
communicate,
people
then
when
yeah.
we met,
Yeah.
Like obviously we evolved with each other.
And that's why they say most relationships that start so young don't last, is
Right.
because you become like
you
a
become
completely
different people,
person.
and that's okay.
Yeah.
You grow and you change, and that's just the part of life. But if
Yeah.
you change and you are still compatible with each other, then like let's keep it going.
Yeah, yeah.
There was something that Will Smith said that always stuck to me, but he said something about like your happiness, your significant other's happiness isn't your responsibility. Like
Right.
they should be happy on their own. You should be happy on your own. And when you come together, you bring that happiness together.
Right.
And that's kind of like, that's what it is, like he shouldn't depend his happiness on me.
Right.
He shouldn't be happy because of me. He should
Right.
be happy on his own. I should be happy on my own.
Yeah.
And then we bring that together.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So-
funny because my friend downstairs, Miranda, was just telling me about that meme.
Oh,
Like the other day.
Wow.
I was like, I think I've heard that before, but she just like, oh yeah, that's right. That makes total sense.
Yeah.
And I think one thing that you guys pointed out was the willingness to understand each other. Yeah,
Right.
communicate, but you can communicate as much as you want, but if you're not willing to understand the other person,
That's true.
it's
Yeah.
not gonna go anywhere. So
Yeah, and like I still think like your upbringing kind of helped you guys too, because you guys are basically kids. I mean, you're still young, you know what I mean? But there's a maturity about the both of you that's beyond like your age, and I'm sure you guys have seen lots of couples that got together when you guys got together and they're not together anymore, and I mean, can you like did you learn from that? Did you learn from other couples too? Did you see like maybe why they didn't work out? And
I would say not really, but in a way, I guess you can take other people's, situations into like, into your, putting yourself in those shoes. Like, oh, what if that ever happens to me? How would
Learning
I
from their
handle it?
lessons.
right,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
But I don't think so. I mean, it's just, if it happens, something happens between us, it's just like, okay, how are we going to figure this problem out?
Yeah, I think
Or,
it
like,
was for
what's-
us, it was that we already really liked each other, that it was like we were set to make it work.
Yeah.
Like even if we argued, it was like, well, we're going to be together regardless after this argument, so why not just like solve the problem now and just like forget about it and then like move on, because what's the point of arguing when we know we're going to be with each other? And that was always in their mindset. Like we knew we were going to always want to be with each other, so why not just like if we argued, it was like, let's solve it. Let's
Yeah.
try to find some ends right now before like it just escalates. And like we kind of like have that same personality, like we kind of grew up the same similar ways. We had similar family situations. So we were very similar people to begin with. And I basically found somebody that I was compatible with. not too compatible with, because obviously we have a lot of our own differences. But you know, we came together and we made it work out regardless of those differences. And it was through communication. It was through just like, you know, wanting to be with each other, like that, just that same personality and wanting to make it work regardless of what happens, you know?
Yeah. How long were you guys friends for before you started dating?
I think it was like 4 months. We started dating after the 4 months when we were friends.
That's pretty good.
I feel like you guys are best friends for life, to be honest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
It's
that's
just
what it
so
should
like
be.
natural. Like the vibe that you guys have is just so natural and easy.
And that's what it should be. You know, you should date your best friend.
Yeah.
Like they say like, oh, I don't want to date my friend. I don't want to ruin anything, you know?
That's me.
But it's like, but your best friends, you already have that connection. You guys already like have so many similarities. So why don't you date somebody that you're compatible with? Somebody that you enjoy to be with. That's your best friend, you know? Best friends before you become significant others, you know?
Yeah.
I love that what you guys said, that we like each other so much already, so we know we're gonna work it out.
Yeah.
I think that's key to liking that person that you're dating.
That's very key, right?
Yeah.
You know, the founder of the company I used to work for, he's married 60 something years, and he
It
said,
says 60 or 16.
sorry, he's been married 50 years, over 50 years, something like that. And he said, well, if divorce is not an option, you're gonna find a way. Like
Right.
if there is no option to not be together, you will figure it out.
Right.
The problem is, like you guys said, most people are not happy, number one. And it's not even sometimes their fault. Maybe it's society, maybe it's whatever. People are always seeking happiness in other people, or in a career, or in like status, or in whatever, especially now with social media. I mean, it's even more unique and special and rare that you guys are this type of relationship, because it's the age of social media. It's the age of millennials. It's like maybe in the 60s, like when there was no social media and it was like common, you know, but now divorce is more common than being together.
Yeah.
Now you have social media, which basically can tear relationships apart if you use it the wrong way. Yeah. It makes people not be happy, not know themselves.
Especially when they see other happy couples on social media and they're like, oh, we're not like that. And so they get very upset about it.
Yeah.
But the thing is, when you're on social media, is that you only show your happy, positive side.
Nobody puts their crap on there. Like, you know, like this is I look horrible. This is what I look like, right?
And that's the thing about us. We don't really show our personal lives on social media.
That's smart.
We're
That's
very
smart.
like invested in our vegan page and posting all those vegan food pictures, but we rarely post like anything about ourselves.
Yeah.
So
I like to keep to myself.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Private. I mean,
I think you
there's
guys
nothing wrong.
created healthy boundaries with
Yeah.
technology and you know
Yeah.
Of
your
course.
personal lives.
It could get messy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like flaunting a fake life that you really don't have
Yeah.
sometimes. You know, a lot of people actually do that.
Yeah.
So
Social media is everyone's highlight reel.
right.
It's like watching all the highlights on ESPN and never watching anything else, you know?
Right.
Yeah. So, well, that's cool. I mean, where did that come from? That where you guys were it's just that you guys were just so busy with everything else, you never got into social media, or was it because you guys just understood it probably wouldn't be a benefit?
that and my mom would be like, don't ever post pictures of yourself on the on the web.
Oh, okay.
You don't want people to be
very
doing,
superstitious.
Yeah.
You know,
Your mom?
You know,
Yeah.
Mexican mom.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Like,
okay.
yeah.
Llorona's
so-
gonna come get you, right?
Chimocos?
Chamuco.
Chamucos?
Yeah.
What is
Yeah.
that? I don't even know what
Like
it
the
is.
monster.
The monsters.
Yeah, but I just never really was that kind of person. You know, I do go on social media and like I'll look at videos and memes, but I wouldn't go on there and start posting about my life. And that's
Yeah.
what I did. I mean, a hike or like a scenery, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's about it.
Yeah.
Sounds like a healthy relationship with
Yeah.
social media.
But not only that, it's like
Yeah.
not just like posting about us, but it's like we just like don't like to. We like to be humble, you know. Like we don't want to be like, this is what we have, this is what we got. Like here's for everybody to see. Like it's just for me to see. It's just for me to know. And that's kind of like just like what me and him are. Like we don't really like to show people like what we have. You know, it's like it's better like to keep it secret, to keep it
Private.
to do things on your own, to work in silence basically. Is what we
Where
like
does
to
that
do.
come from, though? Do you know?
I don't know.
Is it maybe being the middle child, like kind of like the ignored child?
Ignored.
Could
I
be.
would say,
You never
Yeah,
know. It's like
yeah.
subconsciously there. You
Yeah,
never know if that's
yeah.
a reason or not.
It's like I was just there anyway, so I'll still
Yeah.
just be there. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't need the spotlight. I don't-
Right.
Yeah, I mean it's a big thing because basically to be young and not have ego and not want. Because I mean anybody in your position where you're running a business that's growing, it's successful, like anybody in your position could be like flaunting or
Right.
faking it, go buying this brand new car that maybe you're not ready for. And, because that's what kids in their 20s do. And there's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with that,
I mean, there's a quote. It says, they say that there's people that buy things with the money that they don't have to impress the people that they don't even like.
Yeah. And that don't even
That's
care.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's
They
the
don't even
majority.
care.
That's
Yeah.
the majority of
It's
people.
so true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like it didn't make sense to me. It never made sense to me. So why am I going to do it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So then you guys met and you graduated. Was there ever a thought like that you go into jobs?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I just didn't see myself working for a corporate
Where did that come from? Because I always, we've had a lot of entrepreneurs on here. I want to get some employees on here eventually. We're not against them, but I've learned that most people who are entrepreneurial, it came from like a parent or someone in their family they saw. Like you had some example very young. Where did the entrepreneurial spirit come from for you, Manuel?
So yeah, it all kind of just started like in elementary. Like I always had that like, oh, one day I'm gonna be my boss. And like I would remember as a kid, I would tell like my mom and my dad, like, I'm gonna buy you a Corvette one day, or what kind of car do you want? I'm gonna get you a Ferrari. I'm gonna buy you a house. And like I always had that mindset that I wanted to be something in life. And I think it could have been too, because like I wasn't always like the smartest kid, growing up. I didn't get the best grades. I had friends, here and there, but I wasn't the popular kid. Right. So, I mean, it could have been because of that. Like maybe I wanted to be like my friends, but then I just didn't know how. But I think that's one reason, but started like in elementary, and then I would say from family, my dad's side, like I have an uncle that's like a doctor, and then one of my other uncles is like he owns this like financial company in Mexico, and he has like soccer team, so like I guess it's in my blood too.
Yeah.
And my dad too, he's always wanted to like open a restaurant, and growing up I remember that was one of their goals, like with my mom, like, oh, let's get you a restaurant, because she was a really good cook, and he's like, you need to share your food with the world. Right. So I guess it was always just in back of my head. It was always there. And then finally, when I grew up, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to just go for it. Like, I'm not going to let anything stop me. I believe in this. I know I'm confident in my food and what I do. And that's just how it all started. Yeah.
You mentioned something too. You said you had to work harder than other people in life, right? Yeah. And people sometimes look at it as a bad thing, and it's obviously a bad thing when you're young. You know what I mean? Because I went through some of that stuff too. Like I was bullied, I was quiet, I was always the smallest because I was younger than everybody else. But then I grew up and all that kind of stuff, right? But what I think it did is it planted like a drive in you. Like I need to work harder. I need to do something with myself, because if life was super easy,
right,
like you're just kind of like lazy, you're just like, oh, everything comes to me, right?
No challenges.
Yeah, no challenges. Anybody that was cool back when they were young, they kind of peak in high school. You know what I mean? And that's it, right? So that was kind of like a blessing in disguise, right? And then like you said, you saw your uncle, like he owned a soccer team, like you didn't see somebody that had a job own a soccer team. You know what I mean? Like it was the business owner, right? What about you, Dalena? Like, did you have any examples growing up?
Yeah, so my mom, she was the entrepreneur of the house.
Oh, okay.
And she was always invested in real estate. That's why I have my real estate license
okay.
also. She has rental properties. She does. I'm the property manager for her.
Okay.
She's the landlord. She's the boss of me. She's the boss of everybody, basically. And she also has her own salon. She cuts hair in a nursing home.
Oh, wow.
So she has her salon in a nursing home. And I mean, I always grew up with that, like my mom being her own boss. And she obviously like has other side jobs too. But her main thing was she was always an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So I grew up, I watched her. And I was like, if my mom can do it, she's an immigrant, Right. She came from Vietnam. She came from nowhere, basically. My dad, too, like, they came from nowhere, and they built this empire by themselves. And, like, it's just us. Like, it's just me and my immediate family, my mom and dad and all of my siblings. And that's all we really have. Like, I don't really have a lot of cousins. I don't really have my close grandparents to be with. So it was just always us. And, like, I looked up to them, and that's kind of where it all came from. My sister's a doctor. She's a doctor at Oakland. And my oldest sister, she has Down syndrome, she has autism, and then there's me. So I had this like just like urge to want to be successful, because I was like, I see my parents, they're so successful, I can do it too. My sister, she's successful, I can do it too. you know. So then I just always had the drive since I was a kid that I can do this.
Yeah.
So
That's
it's just
awesome.
always
Yeah,
been-
you had
Yeah.
great examples around
yeah,
you.
I did.
Most immigrants, that they, especially if you come from nothing, because
Right,
you know, my dad comes from a little tiny town in Mexico. There's no jobs there.
right.
There's no Apple Corporation there. It's like you either have your little tiendita and you're selling whatever you need to sell, or you're working in the mountains breaking rocks for $7 a day.
Yeah.
Right. So the entrepreneurial spirit is always found in immigrants that come from pretty much
Right.
nothing. Right. You know, also too, immigrants come here and they appreciate it more. Whereas if you're born here, you're kind of like, oh, well, everything's kind of easy. So
Right.
like whatever. Right. But that's cool. So your mom was the boss lady. She
Yeah.
was always running stuff. And yeah, it's kind of funny. So it's real funny. It's real cool. Maybe this is why we click. My father used to own a taqueria. I don't know if I ever told you that.
Yeah, you did.
So my father was very good at cooking. He owned a taqueria for a while, but it was just taking too much of his time. Like me, my mom, and my sister, we loved it because my dad would just give us cash and we'd go everywhere. But my dad's stuck there 24/7, right?
Right.
And he's like, I just can't do this no more, right? So he left the taqueria and did something else, right? My parents also do real estate. That's why they're retired in Hawaii.
Oh,
It's
okay.
not because of their jobs. It's not because of their 401ks. It's because they did real estate and they have passive income from real estate.
Right.
So that kind of was ingrained in me. Like, you know, I like real estate. I like business. I like passive income, all that kind of stuff. So it's very similar, right? Yeah.
Very, very similar.
So where did the, I don't know, like just tell us a little bit about how it happened. Cause something had to click, something had to happen. Cause you guys both were done with school, right?
We were still in school when we
Still
had
in
the
school.
idea.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I was.
So how the
taking
idea
summer.
happen?
Well, the idea was very just random, to be honest. Like I had already graduated, you know, I was
Yeah.
kind of just like hanging out
Waiting for me to finish.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it kind of just, and then another thing, my older brother,
Yeah.
he was actually part of this when we started.
Okay.
You know, but after, you know, there was
After
some
he-
things that he had other plans, so he no longer could be with us.
And
you know?
that happens.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, which is fine. He actually has his own little salsa business too,
Oh,
so
cool.
you guys can check him out. Salsa
Is that the ones you guys
Yeah.
sell? Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so definitely fire.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was part of it, and then I remember reaching out to him one night and being like, "Hey man, like I have this good idea. Let's just start doing a taco truck and like let's do this." And like, and then he's all like, "Yeah." And we were kind of just going back and forth for like about an hour, and then I was like, "Dude, why don't we just do vegan? Like,
Yeah.
there's no vegan food."
Yeah.
And like he was kind of still like, "Oh, I don't know. I think we should have like both, you know."
Yeah.
And then, yeah, and then I told her about it, and she was the one that was kind of like, "I'm down." Like,
Yeah.
she didn't even say no.
I
or,
was
like,
the one that came up
question
with the
me.
idea first, though.
And well, it was like a little bit of both.
Yeah.
But it was just kind of like, okay, well, she's down with it. I'm serious about it, and you won't find out unless you do it.
Right.
So we just kind of
100%.
started looking into it. And another thing was like we were into this food truck show in college, so we'd watch this like
Oh, really?
binge watch at night. Like, oh my god, it looks so fun.
Oh, okay. I think I've heard of that. I've never watched it. Yeah. Yeah.
So we were like always watching it, and like we were like, dude, it looks so fun, like you know, cooking and making money, and they were like racing around the country, you know. And
Maybe you guys
so-
will be on there soon. Is it still on?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but old seasons.
Yeah.
And then we started looking into it, and you know, it's like, okay, well, we have a budget. We didn't have no money.
Right.
We were, you know, fresh off college. I was working for an automotive shop, and so we kind of just started looking for little food trucks. Okay, what can we do? And then, you know, we're like, okay, looking into loans.
Yeah.
And
Right.
like, okay, how much is it gonna cost us? And so we started getting into the money.
Yeah.
And then, so we were like, okay, we have a budget of about 40K. I think with that, we can start.
Wow.
And, you know, we figured out loans. So we took like a crowdfunding loan through
Okay.
Kiva. And then
That's
that
where the
really
community
actually,
found us.
yeah, that's
Really?
where I think was a really big help for us to
Okay.
like kind of get known, because like, you know, you write your story, you know.
And your
so
community donates to you. Not donates, they loan you. So you eventually pay them
you
back.
pay them back,
Oh,
no
okay.
interest,
No interest.
which is the
That's
sweet
cool,
part.
yeah,
And they
yeah.
help- yeah, it's for small businesses, which is really awesome. So whoever wants to start a small business, that's like one way of getting funding.
What is it?
It's called
Kiva.
Kiva.
Kiva?
Yeah. Yeah, it's crowdfunding. So like you share your story, people read your story, and they loan you, and then every month you pay back a certain amount.
Yeah.
And then they just reimburse everybody who contributed.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So it's like a co-op, like a network
Yeah.
of people.
Yeah.
Really awesome. And so that's pretty much where it just sparked. And after that, we found our guy that was going to make our trailer, which,
Yeah.
you know, rushing into it kind of also taught us a lesson because
Lots of lessons.
it was
Yeah.
like not the best, you know, built trailer. We had to do things to it after to get it
Right.
up to where it was.
Yeah.
And so, you know, you learn as you go. But
That's entrepreneurship, though.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it all pretty much just started like that one night, and then me and her just kind of pursuing it, as well as my brother for a while, the time that he was with us. But yeah, once we were like set and locked in the payment when we found our trailer,
Right.
that was no going back. It
Yeah,
was like
no point in return
we're
there.
here now.
You took the leap, you know?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
crazy part was we didn't even have recipes yet.
Oh, wow.
So
We just had the idea.
We had the idea.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
now we're like, okay, now we got to start cooking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and it took a while. It wasn't from one day to another. It took months.
We
to
threw a
come
lot
up.
of food away because a lot of it was
Really?
really gross at first, and we were like, "Why did we
Yeah,
even
too much
create
salt,
this?"
too much garlic, too
Yeah.
much this.
Yeah.
Like, what the heck are we doing?
So you guys actually put some work in getting the actual recipe down.
Yeah.
Yep.
So this is your own unique recipe.
Yeah.
Yeah, the marinades to
Wow.
our tacos. That's
Yeah.
solely us.
Oh, okay.
Some of the recipes that we have are some of my mom's
Mm-hmm.
that I kind of tweaked up a little bit, but yeah,
Because essentially it's the same thing. You're seasoning meat with plant-based ingredients. So
Right.
now we're just using these plant-based ingredients with plant-based ingredients.
Yeah.
So it just worked out in the end. But
Yeah, I just tell people like al pastor, which was my favorite. That's why I'm so glad I found you guys because I was like, no, I'm not gonna have, because I'm thinking al
that
pastor
was
is
me,
pork.
man.
Yeah.
Al pastor
Yeah.
was like, oh my god.
Yeah. Anyway,
Who were your first customers when it's all
Oh,
up and
it was
running?
South Bay Vegans. So South Bay Vegans is basically a little organization. Do they still go on? South Bay
think
Vegan
so.
Drinks.
South Bay Vegan
South Bay
Drinks.
Vegan Drinks. It was hosted by Clyde. And we had friends that kind of just knew each other back then. Like it was my old mentor. She was friends with Clyde's friends. And then they reached out because my mentor reposted our Kiva loan. And then Clyde's friends saw it. And then Lisa and Showman, by the way, they are amazing people. They are Clyde's friends. So they were like, oh, like they're vegan. So then they told Clyde about us. And then Clyde hosts this monthly vegan drinks event for the vegan community that he brings
For
in a
people
vegan
that
vendor.
are curious, anyone.
Veg curious people, vegan people. He brings in a vendor, and every month they come in and they just hang out.
okay.
And so then Lisa and Showman, they were like, oh, Clyde, like this is a new vegan vendor like coming up. So why don't you have them host one of your events? And so he was kind of skeptic at first just because we're young and we're new
Never
and,
Yeah.
you know,
operated.
we've
Wow.
never even
Yeah.
operated before. And then he was like in communication with me. And then he was like, okay, like, let's give you the chance. And he was testing me. He was like, how many ounces of guac are you going to give everybody? You have to make sure that we have enough guac for everybody because they had
Wow.
like a problem with the previous vendor that they didn't have enough food.
Yeah.
So he didn't want to make that our problem because then, it's on him. He's
Yeah.
the host of this event.
He's
Right.
putting his name out there. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So he made sure that like make sure you count your quantities, make sure you do this, make sure you do that, and we're like, okay. So it was our very, very first
It was
event,
nerve-wracking.
and it was like over 110 people, I think.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
Pretty
we
good.
were able to serve all of them, but it was crazy because we've never even operated out of that truck before. We literally just brought it home like a week prior to that event.
Yep.
And we were just like all over the place. Like, what do we do? Like, how do we do this? And we thought it was just going to be us that was able to handle that 100 of people. But then his brother
My
ended up
brother
having
ended
to
up
come in.
stepping
He
in.
was there to eat,
Yeah.
but
yeah.
he came in and
Yeah.
helped
He's like,
us.
no, bro. Come
Yeah,
on. I
like,
need your
you
help.
can't- you
Yeah.
can't
I
eat
felt
today.
bad, but
Hey,
he helped out.
In the
Yeah.
end, it all.
That's some
Yeah.
good experience in training and
Yeah.
being like diamond under the pressure.
Right.
And that's
You know
what
what
I
I'm
feel
saying?
like got us to where we are.
Yeah.
Because that event kind of like just molded us to like be able to do anything.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
it was like, if we
did
can do
this
that.
and not knowing anything, that
Yeah.
was my first
Exactly.
time cooking for 100 people. And I had to stretch it. I was
Yeah.
like, oh my God, every little piece of food that I brought, gone.
Yeah.
And I don't know how I did it. It was like Jesus when he fed
Yeah.
But you know
It was
what?
your
everyone with
spirit.
one fish.
Yeah.
It was your spirit.
But
Years
yeah.
of experience.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, I was so nervous and
Yeah.
beat that day though.
Yeah.
But
You were so
That's
busy.
it
awesome.
literally like
But that day we got a 1-star review. Like it was like we never even served before. Like it was our very, very first time. I think people knew it was our very first time too, so they were being very patient with us. But then like the next day we were like so proud of ourselves. We're like, oh, we did it. We served 100 people. And then I got a notification on Yelp. Somebody created a Yelp for you because you're not, as the owners, you're not supposed to create your own Yelp page. It's somebody else that creates it for you.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so somebody else created it, and we like I got the notification on my email. Somebody like wrote created your page and wrote you a 1-star review, and it was like a 12-page essay of why they hated it so much. Yeah, and I was like, oh man, but that kind of primed us to how we are. You know, we're like if we already served 100 people, and then we got the worst of the worst star review. Like this can't be any more worse than this.
We learned from it.
So then we just like we grew from there. You know, it was like we took all of her criticism and we learned from it. And you know, people saw us and they defended us. They're like, oh shoot, like somebody gave veganos a 1-star? Oh, hell no. So they came in and wrote us some stuff. So then we got publicity from that. Like people were like, oh, there's a 1-star review that's 12 pages. Right.
Yeah.
And then some people saw like that, and then they saw 5-star reviews, and they're like, oh, now we have to try them because like why is this person 1-star and there's like 4 or 5 stars? We got to go and check them out.
And when someone goes that deep to write 12, you know that they're like against you, some type of vendetta.
Yeah, it wasn't the food.
It's personal. Yeah.
So
no one's gonna freaking write 12 pages. And like I didn't like it. It sucked. Whatever.
And that's the thing too. You can't take things personally. You know, like at least in any business, there's gonna be people that don't like you. There's gonna be people that just like are not they just like don't care about you. Yeah. And they just want to hate on you. And that's just how life is. You know, like people will want to hate on you, and you just can't take it personally. You got to move on. You got to do your own thing, and you can't care what people think about you.
Yeah. So there's a lot of lessons actually that you guys just talked about, but I think that feeding the 100 people was an impossibility goal because I was always taught by mentors, successful ones, if you can set a goal that's like seems almost impossible and you achieve it, your confidence just skyrockets where I can do anything, right? Yeah. So, you know, you guys, you didn't set the goal, but you're like, seems almost impossible that we're going to feed, and you did it, and you're like, oh my God, we're alive.
We're on top of the world.
Yeah, we have all our toes. You know, we didn't die. Yeah. So then it doesn't become as scary, right? And then the other thing was like, I mean, the entrepreneur spirit is in you guys. It just is. But entrepreneurs, they don't learn and then do. They do, and by doing, they learn. Right? Like you don't have to be good to start, but you have to start to be good.
Right. And it's a learning process.
Yeah, it's a learning process. Like just this podcast is the same way, right? If you look at our first episode, it's
one lighting.
One
lighting.
Was
just me and him.
One camera.
No headphones. I think no headphones.
The table was like 1/3 the size of this.
Like that, yeah.
And
you got to start.
Yeah, you got to start somewhere, right? But I'm just fortunate that I was trained the last decade about business, right? But you guys didn't have the decade of training. You guys didn't have all the stuff. It was just in you somehow, which is pretty awesome. You know what I mean? And so, okay, you guys feed 100 people. The Yelp review is bad, but you had the confidence to say that because I think you guys believed in yourselves. You're like, that's not us, right? You know what I mean? So what happened after that? Like, where did you guys start getting the momentum?
I mean, it was just
probably like about 3 months in is when it really started to like grow. Okay, like that's when we started seeing a more increase.
No, but remember we disappeared and then we came back and people were like,
we had to disappear because
maintenance problems,
issues with the trailer.
Just problems. Part of business. You know what I mean?
It sucked, but you know, we were patient, and I think that disappearance was what really like, okay, they're back. We have to try them. Who knows when they'll disappear?
So it worked in a good way, right? You guys took it away. You're like, wait, where'd it go? Where'd it go?
Yeah. So I would say like about 3 to 6 months in is really when it started to like be popular, and then about a year in is when it started really like, okay, people started to get to know us, more Yelp reviews, and
and we're the all vegan Mexican food truck in the Bay. So we were the first ones in the Bay.
You guys found an opportunity and went after it.
And I mean, like he was saying, like we at first had a lot of maintenance problems with the little trailer, and we were like, we hated it because there was so many breakdowns, so many things that we found wrong with it over time. But we were blessed in a way because we heard a lot of horror stories where people would bring trailers home or bring trucks home and it would like flip in the freeway.
Oh my gosh.
So like weight distribution.
Yeah, you know, like if you were not a good mechanic and you didn't know how to build food trucks, and it would just like mess up on you. So we were lucky enough that never happened. And
just
like,
a fender flew off, almost caused a 3-car accident.
That's true.
That was scary. We were on our way to a gig.
I think we had to halt that gig.
That was our second gig with that trailer. So it was like being new, you know, I was kind of you know, a little pissed off because it's like, well, this is new. Why is it just falling apart?
Right,
you know?
right.
But that's what happens when you don't really do your research and then you just hop into it.
But also, they say every time you're about to do something big, everything goes wrong
That's true.
because adversity is trying to stop you.
Right.
Because it'll stop the weak, but it won't stop the strong.
Right.
Because
I
the
heard
universe is
that.
testing you.
Oh yeah.
It goes, how bad do you really want this?
Right.
It's going to throw whatever it can. But if you push through, it's going to be like, oh, shit, we can't touch these. We're going to go after the other one that's going to
Right.
quit after we do that,
come
right?
back.
Yeah, or we'll come back, right? But at least you'll be ready for it.
It's
right?
also like an opportunity. Anything goes wrong, it's opportunity to get better.
Yeah.
Like we had so many mistakes during the podcast already,
Yeah.
and like every single time we learn.
Yeah.
You know?
And so again, I've had almost a decade of training. So for me, it's almost, I feel like it's almost, not I want to say unfair, but I'm ready for almost everything
Yeah.
because of what I went through pretty much my whole life and the last 10 years especially, right? I want to say I'm not ready for everything because you never know what's going to happen, right? But little things that happen, they don't bother me. I just push right through it. Like it's like, because I know, you know, I mean, but I think it's just even more special when two people that don't really know what's up, like you weren't ready for anything, but that's awesome because you're still, I mean, and obviously we're gonna get to it, but you guys are starting to become like famous, like known, like big, you know,
Which is
like
so new to us because
Yeah.
we like to keep to ourselves,
Yeah.
you know? And then people sometimes will walk around, they'll be like, oh, you guys are vegan veganos. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my God,
Right.
they see us. And it's like different to us,
Yeah.
you know? It's like we're not used to that publicity.
yeah,
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, that's where it kind of came from. Like we kind of just like got so much love from our community that it was like, we can't stop, you know, we can't stop now. We can't
Yeah.
let them down.
and I love the vegan community. Like, let's
Yeah.
talk about that because you guys are definitely part of the South Bay Area vegan community. How'd you guys get linked up into that vegan community?
Clyde.
Yeah.
Clyde?
South Bay Vegan
South
Drinks
Bay
event.
Vegans.
Okay,
That was
how'd you guys
the
know
one.
Clyde? How'd you guys meet him?
My mentor, her friends were Clyde's friends, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the
then it was just
universe
a link.
again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Talk about the community a little bit. Let everybody know, like, you know, what it's about and all that kind of
I mean,
stuff.
surprisingly, the whole vegan community knows each other. Like
Okay.
all of our employees right now, like they all somehow are interlinked with each other because it's so small, but
Yeah.
so like it's very like the quality relationship that we have in the vegan community is just so special because
Yeah.
everybody has the same ethics, same morals, same mindset, same just like personality. Oh, I wouldn't say everybody,
Like-minded.
but like-minded, you know, like you care about a certain something and you're passionate about that certain something, and this community is also that like that.
Yeah.
And they're uplifting, you know, like we started off like you know, being the first ones, never having served before. It was just small
Very
little
supportive
trailer.
Yeah.
of
And-
small
I remember
Yeah,
that.
and they supported us.
I remember the little trailer.
They brought us in. They
Yeah.
hugged us.
Yeah. This is real quick. I remember the trailer. I remember when I first met you guys, and I remember Dalena, you were talking to the screen, but I couldn't see you. All I saw was, it was like a screen talking to me.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, hi, whatever. You know what I mean? But yeah, I remember that when you guys were at the Normandy
The Normandy
Lounge.
bar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So was that spot picked out because of the community set, or how,
We
was
were, yeah, that was where he actually hosted the,
Okay.
South Bay
the
Vegan
event.
Drinks
Yeah.
event.
Okay.
And we kind of just came back a couple months back later and asked like the owner, hey, is it okay if we come here and pop up? They were totally cool. They're so sweet there. I love the owners there.
Yeah.
And they gave us the opportunity. It's like, yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
Whenever you guys want, post up.
You guys
And
are
we were
all-
giving
that.
them, you know, whatever we made, we were kind of giving them whatever
Yeah.
we could. And he told us, I don't even want your money.
Right.
You know, it's like, you guys
Wow.
are a new business, you know,
Yeah.
trying to make it, and I know how it is.
Yeah.
You know, I've been
Entrepreneurs
there.
appreciate other
I've been there,
entrepreneurs,
yeah.
because they know. Yeah.
So I love that guy, man. He's definitely very genuine.
And like we were helping
kind.
each other. We were selling food. They were selling drinks. We didn't sell our agua frescas at the bar.
Yeah.
So like we kind of gave each other business, you know.
Okay.
So it was nice to bring the community together that way too. And they're not a vegan bar. They sell their
Yeah.
own thing.
Yeah.
But they were so open to us, even though we're vegan.
Yeah.
So
I think they just appreciated the entrepreneurial spirit because they know, you know,
Yeah.
and like eventually when you guys become super successful, multimillionaires, all that, you're going to want to help out other
yeah.
up and coming
Of course.
businesses, you know,
Yeah.
that's what I want to do that too. We want to do that as well. You guys are in the community. I know a couple people from the community, like Rhino Rosa. She's been on the podcast, California Vegan Food,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
And, you know, so I know you started like a market or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I want to bring that market back.
The San Vegan X night market.
So talk about
Which-
that, because I know that was pretty cool. And then
It was
obviously,
amazing.
obviously,
It is
you know,
amazing.
this year COVID and all
Stuff
that.
happened, yeah.
But talk about where that idea came from. What was it like? Let everybody know about that, because when you guys started back up, you know.
Yeah. Well, it was kind of like this was through Rosa. She's the one that kind of like
Okay.
put this thing together. She called us one day and it's like, "Hey, we're gonna have a meeting and we want to invite you guys. We have some business ideas and we'd like you to hear." And so we went. You know, it's our friends, Rosa,
Yeah.
and our other Alicia,
Tony.
and all of these people have vegan food businesses. So you know, we all collaborated one afternoon and put these ideas together, and that's where it pretty much happened. Like, she's the one that put us together, and as far as like getting it going, it's kind of like everyone, you know,
Yeah.
like everyone does a little part, you know, and we kind of wanted to do this to kind of also help our own businesses, you know, as well as bring in more awareness and more to our community, like having vegan food, as well as bringing small little businesses that want to get something going, like I don't know, like little jewelry or
Yeah.
like farm workers that have produce. So like we
Yeah.
want to just help other people. So it's
Right.
just wanting to help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, initially the whole idea of us getting together was to bring the community together.
Okay.
Because obviously we're all vegan vendors, and we wanted to make it accessible, vegan food accessible to our community. And there was not a lot of vegan options back then. Like 2 years ago, it's kind of all new, you know,
Yeah.
vegan options, vegan food. It's like it all kind of started when we started. It was like
Yeah.
2 years ago, 3 years ago was when
That's
you know,
very
vegan
true.
actually started like, you know, like was more accessible and acceptable.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah, that's 100% true.
Is this
'cause-
only in South Bay, by the way?
yeah, I mean, there's a lot of vegan food in the East Bay, like
Yeah.
Oakland, Berkeley, and all that.
Right.
But as for the South Bay, it was not very accessible.
Gotcha.
And like there was a whole stigma behind vegans. I don't
Yeah.
know if you guys remember, but everybody
Yeah.
hated vegans. Everybody was like, vegans are annoying. Vegans are this.
yeah,
vegans
yeah.
are that.
Because of some of the preachy, kinda,
Right,
you know, the
right.
ones that, I mean, were a little too hardcore, right?
Right, a little too hardcore.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
regardless, we were there to show people that, you know what, this is what vegan is all about. And it's not just about, you know, like about, I mean, it was obviously it's about the animals and about health, but it was more so about bringing the community together to love something and to introduce them to a concept that people are not used to seeing.
Right.
Especially Mexican food, especially pastries like pan, like Mexican
dulce.
desserts.
Pan
and
dulce, yeah.
Pan dulce. You know, like you don't.
The
you
only
can't
one
get
I
that.
knew was in Southern California at the time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. See,
Yeah.
like that's the thing. Like people don't know that it's out there, so they're like, it's not even an option for me. And these are food staples, so I'm not gonna be able to eat what I like. So I'm not even gonna consider being
Try to
vegan.
even, yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was our point. Like
Yeah.
we wanted to show people like there's more than just what you see.
Yeah.
You know, there's way more than that. So we decided to get together and we're like, let's create a little market. Let's come together. Let's have people come every week and be like, oh, this is a vegan market where you can come and shop all vegan food and it's accessible for
And
us.
you guys had music and stuff too,
Yeah,
right?
we had a DJ, we
Yeah.
had music.
Yeah,
It
so you
was
guys
really
made it
nice.
kind of
Yeah,
fun,
it
Yeah.
right?
got
Yeah.
pretty big.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I mean, it was just us at first. We started inviting other vendors in. There was other, like, not just food, but it was like he said, like jewelry shops, clothing shops, like just vintage stuff there. And it was just like a nice little hangout spot for
Yeah.
everybody to come and just like enjoy it. And you didn't even have to be vegan. There was a lot of non-vegans that came.
Yeah.
And they really enjoyed what we created.
Yeah.
But I mean, like right now it's kind of like on hold. I'm kind of trying to convince everybody to get it back
We've been
ongoing.
talking.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
we've been talking.
Hopefully,
It,
Oh, it'll
but it's
definitely get
also
back to
because of
2021.
COVID too. You know, like we can't just create a huge ass market in the middle of COVID.
Right,
No one's gonna come. There's
right.
gonna be regulations, and
Right.
so we decided, okay, let's just hold off a little bit. 2021 is gonna be when we start up again.
Yeah. Well, this is a good
So-
time to plan,
Yeah.
Prepare.
to strategize,
Yeah.
plan,
Yeah.
prepare.
And it's a nonprofit too.
Yeah.
So we signed up for a 501(c)(3).
501c. Yeah.
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 So
There you
we're,
go.
We're doing that.
Yeah, already another business.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exciting. If you think about it, I don't know if you guys even realize this. You guys were the ones that are the pioneers of vegan food in the South Bay,
Yeah.
and with Rosa too. Like I get all my vegan, besides like the big restaurants, right? It's like from you guys and from the community you guys have created. Like there's really no other place to go other than the basic restaurant like Veggie Grill, which is a huge national chain.
corporation,
Yeah.
yeah.
Happy Hooligans. And what else other than
Loving Hut.
There's
that? Loving Hut's
but that's
good.
not Mexican. That's like Asian food.
Yeah.
Oh, never mind.
But it's still
Veggie Grill has
it's still
Mexican?
it's
Yeah,
still
they do.
you're talking about the entire South Bay area has like 2 million people.
Right.
But there's like 3 restaurants.
Right.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
it's very
Yeah.
There's the market for vegan food is still, you know,
It's a
and
big
I'd say
opportunity for a
it's
lot of
really
people.
big.
Yeah.
There's a lot of opportunity.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like you get just Asian food, a lot of
Yeah.
you know,
A lot of
Asian
Asian
vegan
food.
food. So,
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
'cause-
also,
Golden Bamboo. Have you guys tried that?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's in there.
It's really good.
Lots of
I
Asian food
grew
there.
up in the East Bay and now live in San Francisco. So, is it safe to say that there's more vegan food out there than South Bay,
Yeah.
even till
Yeah.
this day?
San Francisco.
Yeah.
San
Yeah,
Francisco
San
has way
Francisco.
more.
Pretty.
Especially
Yeah,
like Berkeley and
Berkeley,
Oakland.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
are
hardly
like-
eat out
Spain has a
here,
lot.
but
Yeah.
when I do, it's you guys veganos or whatever we're eating out here. But
Yeah.
okay, so I didn't realize that it was pretty small out here.
Yeah.
For
South
vegan
And
Bay
what,
is-
what makes us really different though is that we care about the environment. So all of the products that we give, like the paper utensils, the straws, the cups, they're all compostable.
Paper or yeah.
They're all composable.
Yeah.
Nice.
And so we make sure that we are not giving you any plastic because we know like how plastic harms the environment. And that's what we're like, that's the movement, you know, like,
Yeah.
yes, we cook vegan food and yes, our meals are plant-based, but we also care for the environment.
Yeah.
And a lot of, I mean, I don't think like even Veggie Grill has compostable like items
Yeah,
and
there's
stuff. Like,
some vegan restaurants that still, you know, give you food in plastic containers and stuff,
Wow.
which is like, you know, that's them. Maybe it's
Yeah.
what they can. It's cheaper, obviously.
Uh-huh.
But-
at least for me, it's like contradicting our purpose.
Yeah, I know.
And
that
like
makes
our
sense.
purpose is like, let's care for the environment, let's care for our animals, and let's make this a movement. It's
Right.
not just about selling vegan food, but it's like let's care for the planet. You know, like this is our future, and like if you want to give your grandkids, your great grandkids, a nice earth, a planet to live on, to sustain on, then you got to take care of it.
Yeah.
And that's just
100%.
how it is.
being
Like,
able to like at least, you know, you're doing your part. You know, it's like all we can do right now is try to reverse. So there's,
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty messed up already.
Yeah.
yeah, and we're like a tiny little business, you know. We're doing our part to try our best to make a change.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, hopefully we make a dent. Hopefully we're making some type of movement.
Impact.
Hopefully we're making some type of impact to our community, to the world. But I mean, like, we can only do so much.
Yeah. Yeah. So you guys are, I just want to talk about when you start a movement, right? A lot more people can get behind a movement than can get behind like a taco truck
Right.
or like a business, right? So you guys are doing the right thing by creating a movement. And that just shows that you're passionate about it. And then also too, the other aspect of it is who's going to live on this earth? You guys are you're going to live on this earth at least 20 something years longer than me, right? And you're going to live on the earth a lot longer than maybe some people who, you know, are a little older and they maybe don't believe in, you know, climate change. And I mean, I don't even know how you cannot believe in it. Like,
Right.
but
some people don't believe in climate change. Is that crazy?
Yeah.
Don't
So
know.
yeah, it's very special and very that you guys are on the right track basically when you create a movement because
Yeah.
a big vision and a big movement everyone can be a part of that. You know
Yeah,
what
I
mean?
love that you were sharing like your utensils are biodegradable. So it's not just about the food; it's about our environment too that we have to look
Right.
out for. It's not just our body that we're cleansing planet Earth.
Right.
So
And it's just being mindful about what we put out into the earth. You know, sometimes people don't realize that plastic is harming our environment. And sometimes they don't realize these things, what they're doing to the environment. But when you realize it and you still don't do anything about it, then that's on you. But when you know and you make something out of it and you make a difference, then good for you, you know? But
Yeah.
if you're not doing anything, then you're just like, you're letting your ego overtake what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
well, Madre Tierra is very happy with you guys. Just to let you know, taking
I
care
know
of
she is.
planet Earth.
That's why the universe is giving us these opportunities, opening doors for us.
Yeah.
Definitely starting this business has opened a lot of doors, meeting new people, networking. And I'm grateful. We're
Yeah.
grateful. Like it's brought us to a place where it's like, oh my God, like there's really no stopping anymore. It's just keeping the ball going and okay, what's the next move? How are we going to make this bigger and better?
That's
Are
exciting.
we going to continue, you know, I still want to continue the restaurant aspect of it.
So you guys want to turn this into a restaurant eventually?
Hopefully, we'll see. We never know.
Yeah.
Maybe like something different, but like a food truck movement, but different, you know?
Okay.
Because restaurants is kind of like the older thing, you know,
yeah.
it's like
it's also more overhead and more
overhead
time.
costs. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there it's just a lot of possibilities.
Yeah.
It's endless.
And I think that's a great attitude to have, is possibilities.
yes.
I think you guys have a great attitude from the beginning, so that's why you guys are doing great.
But
Thank you.
I've been through every emotion, like meaning like sad, angry, like oh I want to quit, like what am I doing, like
Yeah.
during the business, like starting the business and doing it, because it's a lot of work. Like
Yeah,
at the
like,
beginning, I was beating myself up. I was the one, being 10 hours, prepping, and it's exhausting, and then having to go, sell the food on top of that. Like I was doing everything. I was overworking myself.
Yeah.
At the beginning, and now as we grew and learned, it was like, okay, no, you could do certain things, a day before, or like do it a couple hours.
It's a learning process.
Yeah.
So
That's what I
Yeah.
mean. Like you guys didn't have the mentorship or the
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah.
You had to do it, but it makes it more sweet though.
it makes you stronger.
Yeah.
And that having that belief, like I did it. You know,
Yeah.
even though I stressed, even though I was angry and wanted to give up, I still did it.
Yeah.
So that's keeping that positive mindset all the time is definitely a must when you're running a business.
Yeah,
You always
that's
have to
important.
be, even when it's negative, you have to stay like that.
Yeah.
They say that you're not always gonna feel like doing it,
Right.
but having
And
that
that's-
discipline and like thinking of the bigger picture, it helps
it's
you.
because a lot of
Right.
people think that being an entrepreneur is easy.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm gonna start a business. It's gonna be great. Like, at least for us, that's what we thought too. Like, oh, we're just gonna cook vegan food.
Yeah.
We're just gonna sell vegan food. But it's more than that, like being an entrepreneur has so many components to it. It's so dynamic. There's like the financial part of it. There's the marketing part of it. There's everything that comes together to make it a business, not just selling vegan food.
Yeah.
And we didn't know that at first.
Yeah.
So it was a learning process for us. And then when we finally started learning, and we're learning as we go, we never had any restaurant experience coming into this.
Yeah.
So we are learning from our employees. Our employees have more restaurant experience than us,
we
and
do.
and
Yeah.
we are not afraid to admit that.
At least,
we're-
you're humble enough to learn.
yeah.
Yeah.
And we told them too, like, hey, we want to learn from you guys. You guys worked in restaurants longer than us, so show us how it's done. You
Yeah.
know, like how can we make this efficient?
Yeah.
And we're learning from them, they're learning from us, and eventually, like, Vegan Veganos is kind of like a platform where we want to have people come, learn from us, learn from each other, and they grow and do their own thing.
Like-minded.
And
Yeah.
then we recycle that process.
I love that you said that because
Beautiful.
that's exactly what this is.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I always like Joe's a photographer. Hatem wants to he wants to become he is a good videographer, but he wants to have documentaries.
Wow.
Right. So I want this to be like the springboard for anybody that comes in, and maybe they're only here for a little while, or maybe they are here for the long term or whatever, but I want them to be able to springboard their passion, their thing
Right.
from this, like, so yeah, I agree with that 100%.
And that's how it should be. A lot of people think that, oh, I'm going to have employees and they better work for me all the time. They better be here all the time. And some employees themselves, like, have that mindset where they just feel stuck. But it's like more than that. Like, you can branch off. You can do your own thing. You can find your own passion. Let us help you do that.
Right.
So we are doing that, at least with Vegan Veganos.
And you guys help them because obviously they're employees and they've never learned, they don't have the business mindset.
Right. And they see us.
Yeah.
And we're doing it. I can do it too.
Yeah.
That's what they're thinking.
Yeah. And they see that and they go, wow, like, I mean, that's important really because
Yeah.
I just think people need to see that it's possible. And once they see that it's possible, if they have the confidence and belief in themselves, they'll do it.